What's your writing process like outside of music? So do you like to outline more? Do you like to just write it, discovery write it? Where do you kind of fall on that spectrum?
Yeah, I am such a type A person. I'm such a planner, and I have calendars, and I food plan, meal prep, all of that. But with writing, I, for whatever reason, can't outline very well. I always do a rough out or attempt to do a rough outline of, the bare bones plot. But even then I'll get stuck with it. And then I'm like, well, I just really want to start writing. And then wrote my first manuscript was a mystery thriller. And when I started writing, I didn't know how the mystery was going to be solved, which is like the biggest faux pas. You got to know how the mystery is solved before you start. And I didn't even quite know that because I was just so itching to write. And I feel like I can't get there thinking about it ahead of time. I just need to see where the story takes it. So like I'm partway through the draft for the second book, because this is a series. I've stuck myself into a series. I don't know why I did that.
Yeah.
And I wrote a very rough outline, but even then the ending is like a big question mark. And I'm just like, we're going to figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
So
do you like, see if I can formulate this question correctly. So do you like to follow kind of more of the character arcs? Do you stick, like, what is the main driver when you're discovery writing your story? So like I'm a big world building person. So I would do the world building, and now it's taken me a long time to find the story, but like the story is kind of wrapped around how the world works. Like, does that kind of make sense?
Yes. I think it's character driven, and I think that's why my first book is so dang long. It's a thick boy. Because I did have a plot line. Once I was, partway through the book, it was like, okay, this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen. But I'm very into the characters, very character driven, very character oriented. That's the main for me when I read or when I do anything, play video games, anything involving characters or story. For me, it's all about the characters first and foremost. So if I don't like them or if I'm not pulled into them, then I don't care about anything else. So I think it's the characters that are the main forefront, the main leading force. And yeah, that's why I thick.
Yeah. Well, I like big books. So I'm a big fan of big books and long series. So I'm like,
me too. And I don't understand this aversion now. And it's, this book is too big, or I need to make it short and sweet, or the bigger, the better. It means there's more to read.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and I think you definitely should, obviously, like, you need to write your story for your story. You know what I mean? So like, if your story is a short story or a shorter book, then it is, that's just how it goes. But don't like artificially limit it either. I think that there's a lot of that where people are like,
yes,
well, it needs to fit. I want it to be like this. I'm like, well, no, let your story be your story,
Right.
Yeah. I like the Brandon Sanderson. Part of the reason I love world building stuff is I'm a big fan of Brandon Sanderson. And he's really great about his world as a character. Like the characters are reacting to the world, and then the world is reacting back to them. So it's like this, it actually like informs the story. And so I really like when it's kind of both things.
I wonder if I'd like to say that I do that the world itself is a character. Have you read his or watched his lectures that he has on YouTube?
Oh yeah. I haven't watched them recently. I probably should, but that's always the first thing I point people to. Like, if anyone's like, I don't know, how do I get started? I'm like, go to these.
They're so great. Even if you're not a writer and you just enjoy reading, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, and even I would say, like, even if you aren't a fan of his writing, like, the knowledge is still good,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you mentioned this is going to be a series. Do you know how long it is yet? Or are you just kind of like, it's at least 2 books?
I think it's going to be 3 books, and I'm planning on the second book being a bit shorter just so that I can have it out and that the third book can be a kind of meaty resolution. But it's probably going to be 3. But the nice thing is that having this whole world built, you can always write a prequel at one point or follow this side character if you want to at some point. But like many writers, you have a million works in progresses and different ideas, and I have 2 other manuscripts that I'd really like to work on, but I'm not going to do it until I'm done with this one. So I don't think I can do much longer than 3 books.
Yeah. That's some pretty solid discipline. Like, I commend you for, being, because I'm way more like, just go with wherever my creativity is that day. So I sometimes that's to my detriment because I should be working on this thing that's close, but I'm not, and I'm over here messing with this one,
Right. I do understand that, though.
Yeah. Do you have any more ideas for stories in this world, or is just kind of that trilogy right now?
Just the trilogy right now. I've written a couple. It's almost pathetic to say that I have a couple because it's really like few, and I've uploaded them onto Medium, and I wrote like very short little 2-pager side stories that are just happening in the world of Cyber City, which is the colloquial name for the world that this book takes place. And I did have this idea that while I was marketing this book, I would have a plethora of stories all taking place in this world, and you can read them on my Medium before the book comes out, but there's only like 3. So just because that was like too much energy taken away from this actual product, so didn't divert a lot of time into that. But there's a couple little stories out there.
Yeah. I have the same. I have a few little like just random short stories, like whenever I've wanted to had an idea for a scene that didn't fit, or had an idea for like I wanted to explore something about a character or something. So I've often thought maybe what I'll do is after I get some of the books published, then I'll just do like a collected, edited work of like, here's the 10 short stories I randomly wrote while doing this.
That's a solid idea.